Hello again, everyone. I'm Robert Craig. Welcome to just an old man reading from his Bible. I'll be using this Bible right here, the Holy Bible, and I believe you can see right here it is the King James Version. That's the only version I use. I want to say a few words tonight about idolatry. What's all the big fuss about a little statue of some god or goddess of another culture that we never were a part of? We leave it sitting around the house, maybe like a what was that? The kitchen witch. My sister used to have a kitchen witch hanging in the window of her kitchen, right over the sink. She considered it to be a kind of a harmless thing. There are similar things. I've known people that kept angels, little angel statues around. In fact, back in my Baptist days, back when I was on the deacon board, I went to a fellow deacon's house on some kind of church business, and his house had a telephone alcove in the hallway. It was kind of centrally located. It was before the days of wireless telephone, like the one I'm recording this video on, and he had about a 12-inch tall Buddha sitting in the lotus position. Well, I was kind of offended by that. I kind of took my faith seriously. In the past, I had a plaque that I used to keep on the wall that I had bought in Kamakura when I was TDY in the Air Force. I'd gone to see the great Buddha of Kamakura. Of course, I was just a godless heathen back in those days, but I picked it up as a souvenir to just to remember my trip to go see the great Buddha, a 900-year-old bronze statue. For 10 yen, you could enter a door at the left hip, take a spiral staircase up to the left shoulder, walk across a catwalk from the left shoulder to the right shoulder, and you'd look into the chin of the head of this statue, and there was another Buddha sitting looking toward the back. And I'm thinking, am I getting some kind of insight on how Buddhism works or what here? You get to the right shoulder, take another spiral staircase down. Of course, there's a line of people constantly funneling through. But when I got saved, I got rid of all those things. I kind of found them offensive after that. I want to go here and see how the Lord looks at idolatry. This is chapter 20 of Exodus. The people have gathered at Sinai. The Lord has promised to come down and visit them and instruct them and speak with them. Let's see. Let's back up to just to set the scene. Verse 18 of chapter 19, and Mount Sinai was all together on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. Okay, so Moses, a little bit later, he's down back among the people again, and this is how chapter 20 begins. And we'll see that it's actually God delivering the Ten Commandments, not in stone. He's going to try and deliver these commandments to the people in his own voice. And I'm maintaining that there's something of a very special quality about the Lord's voice. It's able to do things that mortal man is not. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, and out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. I'm going to skip on up a little bit here. The people refused to hear this voice, I might add. As the last commandment had finished, verse 18, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. I'm not sure that the words adequately describe the scene here. I rather imagine it being a stampede, but verse 19, and they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for God is come to prove you that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. It seems to me that there was something special about the quality of his voice that would enable them to have kept the law. And I've taught on this before. I think Jehovah offered the people the spirit of the law, and they demanded the letter instead. And you know where that leads. And the people, despite Moses' admonishment, the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. And the Lord said unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. It's like he singled out that commandment for reiteration. Why that would be, I'm not sure, but it's as though there was a special importance attached to it. And in Psalm 81, where Asaph does a recapitulation in a few words of the Exodus, this is Psalm 81, and if you read it, you will see that it's kind of a recap of the Exodus story. He talks here. Jehovah talks about the rescue of the people from Egypt and their deliverance. Verse 7, Thou calledst in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah, Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Israel, if thou wilt hearken unto me. As Paul put it in his discussion on tongues, as it says, how was it he put it? For it is written in the law and the prophets that the Lord would speak to this people with stammering lips and another tongue, and yet for all that they would not hear. I believe that's what he's referring to. Because here he says, Hear, O my people, you hear with your ears, and I will testify unto thee. That's Jehovah talking. You testify with your mouth. Verse 10, I am the Lord your God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Did I skip verse 9? There shall be no strange God in thee, neither shalt thou worship any strange God. He doesn't bring up the jealousy part. 1 Corinthians 10, we see that Paul makes mention of this again. And he's talking about people buying meats that have been used as a wave offering before idols among the idol-worshipping heathen among the Greeks. He's writing to the Corinthians here. And this passage I'm looking for will be found in, let's see, starting in verse 18. Yeah, let's see. Let's make it 19. What say I then, that the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? That's the natural question. What's all the fuss about idolatry? Well, the people in the church weren't practicing idolatry. They were buying this meat at a reduced rate in a place called the Shambles. Once it had been used for that purpose, you couldn't sell it as untouched prime meat, but it was sold at a reduction, just to keep it from being a complete loss. Verse 20, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that you should have fellowship with devils. See, that's the problem with idols and figurines and likenesses of gods like Kuan Yin and Buddha and these different Eastern religions that have figures that they meditate before. The statue, of course, is not the person. They'd be the first to tell you, oh no, that's not Gautama Buddha there. That's just his likeness. That is just to help us to focus our meditation on his doctrine and his works. But there Paul says it. You sacrifice to an idol and you're sacrificing to a devil. Somehow or other, the devils are harvesting virtue from this. They gain power from the worship they get through these idols. Verse 21, you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. That's another thing. We know, we have knowledge through Paul's doctrine that these idols are actually nothing. There's nothing they can get from us. But there are what Paul would call the weaker brethren. They don't have that knowledge. And if they see you and you've got a say you've got a statue of Buddha in your telephone alcove, it might not mean anything to you. At the time, I was fairly new. I was that weaker brother. I found it offensive, actually. Whatsoever is let's see. Yeah, let's not skip verse 24. Let no man seek his own, but every man another man's wealth. Another's wealth. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles, that eat, asking no question for conscience sake. For the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. If any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and you be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not, for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake. For the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Conscience, I say, not thine own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? For if I by grace be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that for which I give thanks? Whether therefore ye eat or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God. I think what he's talking about here is that even though there's no harm in the act itself, it can harm your witness and cause others to stumble. Even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. You don't want to drive someone else away from being receptive to the gospel by some thoughtless act like that. Keep your mind attuned to the implications of the things you do, especially concerning this sort of a thing, because everybody's not at the same level. And what you may look at as just a small little pebble in your path may be a stumbling block for the weaker brother. And that's the practical application, I think, or at least part of it, of avoiding idolatry. And the reason behind it is for our good more than anything else, for the edification. Well, may the Lord bless this reading of His Holy Scripture. I appreciate everybody that watches these videos. I'm grateful for all the subscribers, and we'll pick up and talk about some other thing the next time. I'll see you then. Take care now.